I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, March the 28th, brought to you in part by Elite Livestock Sales. That's my buddies down there in the southeast running that video sale. It's Daryl Stokes, who formerly was a co-worker of mine, or he was a market man also. My buddy Jerry Etheridge, who owned and operated Montgomery Stockyards in Montgomery, Alabama there. Wesley Grantham, one of the best young guys that I know of in the cattle business, and backgrounds a lot of cattle of his own and really knows what's going on. And then of course world champion livestock auctioneer Chuck Bradley, that I think is probably one of the best world champions we've ever had, and another really good friend of mine. They're doing a great job there marketing those cattle in load lots. They're locally bought and backgrounded cattle. Some of them are home raised, and in that part of the country mostly backgrounded on ryegrass, guys. Be excellent feeding cattle. And you think, oh, them damn Bramers. I tell you what, they've got 35 loads on there. I looked through the videos. I didn't see any that I thought had too much Bramer. Now they've got some of them advertised as maybe a small percentage having an 8th ear or something like that, but they're not going to be floppy ears and big humps, guys. They've cleaned those cattle up for the most part out there, and you think, well, they're going to be thin-hided. Well, when better to feed some thinner-hided cattle than some cattle going on feed right now and feeding through the warm months there, guys. And you think, well, the freight's too much. Hey, the freight is the same now as when the cattle were a lot cheaper. So as a percentage of what the cattle cost, the freight is not as big a deal as it was. So check them out there, guys. They're having their Gulf Coast Grass Time sale. It's at the Bar R Ranch in Marianna, Florida. It's going to be today, here, Thursday, the 28th. The sale starts at 4 p.m. Central. So you've got plenty of time to get on that sale and check them out. Look at the videos before you do it. My buddy Eric Smith from Alabama was down there, and I saw where they had a dinner on Wednesday night, and Eric was telling them about LRPs. He sells LRPs there. If you guys are in the southeast and you're interested in that, check them out. But really good people to do business with. Elite Livestock Sales. Bull market. And you guys think, whoa, hey, you missed that deal. The market's not as good as it was, just a few days ago, and now you're talking about a bull market. I'm talking about the bull market. The bull market, of course, slaughter cows have too, but slaughter bulls have just went through the roof, guys. And you know that they always need a percentage of slaughter bulls with all that testosterone running through them. They don't hardly have any fat in them at all. So it's all lean meat, and they bone those whole things out, throw all that lean meat in the hopper there with some fat cows, and come out with something that is fairly high percentage lean, is what your housewives think that they want. And so that's what they can sell, and they just need them, guys. They need the slaughter bulls, and they have gone crazy high just in the last couple of weeks, but to prices I've never seen before. In fact, we've seen our big slaughter bulls, high dressing, heavy muscled slaughter bulls, selling better than our best fed steers and heifers. Now, does that make you wonder if there's something going on here that ain't right? Let's see. Over some old news about a few dairy cows in Texas Panhandle and southwest Kansas dairies coming down with something that they've aligned with bird flu, but the cows are not dying. They're healing back up. There was no risk to the milk. No risk to any beef if the cows were slaughtered, and so then we saw our funds and our board traders completely blow that thing out of proportion. And it wasn't for media, because it wasn't that big about the media. The media was busy talking about the Baltimore Bridge and Puff Daddy, so we didn't see the media go crazy about it. It's just a good excuse to claim a black swan and for your funds to dump. And if you think they didn't, on Tuesday, your open interest and your cattle futures was down 8,000 contracts there as your funds dumped all their long positions. And I would like to know, and I wish somebody would look in to see if those funds are aligned at all with any of the big four packers. I would kind of like to look at that, but we don't see that kind of funny business going on so much with slaughter cows and bulls. Your cow and bull packers, they mostly fill their needs in auctions, and they bid against one another until they don't want them anymore. And they have cow and slaughter cow and bull buyers in there sitting in the seats looking at them, and they know what they're looking at. They get trained, they know what they're looking at, and I'm going to hurt some feelings right now. The best cattle buyer out there, guys, is a slaughter cow buyer, an auction slaughter cow buyer. There's more differences in them than there are any kind of cattle that you can buy. So I hate to disappoint you feeder cattle guys, but looking down at beautiful cattle or whatever class of cattle that you have an order for, looking down, looking up at the scoreboard, seeing if they fit your weight, seeing if they're too full or not, and holding your buyer card up until they call your name out, and then putting those in 50,000 head lots, not that tough. Not that tough. You fat cattle buyers, which hardly any of you ever go out to the feedlots anymore. You just look at printouts and you see what they weighed going in, what they've been eating, how many days they've been on feed and all that kind of thing. Not that tough. But sitting in there with other experienced cow buyers buying slaughter cows. Some of them got problems. You got to know if those problems are enough to discount them and how much to discount them. As soon as they poke their head in the gate, you've got to know what the dressing percentage or what the yield, they call it mostly, is going to be on those cows, so that you'll know how to line up with what your order is. And then you of course got to, you got to pay attention to the fill. You got to pay attention to how much meat they got on them. You got to pay attention to how big their carcass is going to be. If there's going to be trim on them from some kind of defect, you have to know how much that is. And perhaps they're going to tank, and you got to know that too. Your slaughter cow and bull buyers are the best cattle buyers there are out there. They're the quickest, the sharpest, the smartest. And a good one. You can't beat them, guys. And they have to sit there and do that. And they bid against each other in competition, competitive bidding in an auction market setting for the most part. And then you see these big prices come up. At Joplin Regional Stockyards, which, they've got the biggest feeder cattle auction now, and most times they got the biggest cow and bull sale too. They had a huge cow and bull special with a lot of replacement cattle a week ago, but on Wednesday they had 800, which is typical. 8 to 1,200 is what they typically have for the cow and bull sale, and they had a red limousine bull weigh 2,100 pounds, bring $186. Okay, the best trade we had in Southern Plains in Kansas, we did have some weak sisters that caved in at $185 for choice and prime steers. Guys, something's wrong with that, okay? So what do you think is going to be more expensive if you go in and you're trying to buy a CAB ribeye by the pound, or some 80 to 90% lean ground beef? What do you think is going to be higher? Okay? Our Biden administration has been talking ever since he come in there that they're wanting to enforce these packers and stockyards rules, and they're wanting people to report things whenever they see it. Psst, President Magoo, there's some crooked shit going on here. The collusion and the unfair trade practices that are going on with your big four packers in your steer and heifer market is ridiculous. And whenever we see your cow and bull market and you see big old slaughtered bulls bringing more than fat cattle that's been pampered and helped out all the way along with proper rations and all that kind of thing, something's wrong. And I'm telling you, it's absolutely wrong. And, you know, I thought, that 186 on a slaughter bull, that's got to be some kind of a record or something. So I checked into it and I asked a buddy of mine that knows all there is to know about that kind of thing. Sure enough, he said, nope. Last week we saw some slaughter bulls bring over $2 a pound, and that was in Shipshewana, Indiana, at the Shipshewana livestock auction. They just had the World Championship Livestock Auctioneer Contest there a couple of years ago, guys. And but I will say it may not be apples to apples, because in that part of the country, and you see a lot of Amish and Mennonite, and you see some ethnic type bull buying there, and we used to call them baloney bulls. You know, they'll buy a local interest will buy a slaughter bull there, and they'll make some really premium quality meats out of that. Which I'm not saying that discounts it or doesn't you know, make it a fair trade, but I'm talking about just your mainstream cow and bull buyers. They're giving that kind of money for one like they did in Joplin there. But pretty interesting to look at. We've seen slaughter cows breaking $150 in a lot of sales all over the country, your high dressing slaughter cows. But it's just refreshing to see cow and bull packers, when they are in need of stock, they get in and they demand it, and it goes about bringing up higher prices. That's the way things should actually work, rather than just playing it, you know, everybody being in some kind of a sweetheart formula deal, and you're not buying hardly any cattle on a negotiated basis, and then whenever the market starts to get a little high, then you call your fund buddies and say, hey, let's tank this board, and then for no reason at all, we're going to start trying to buy fat cattle $3, $4, $5 cheaper than what we did just a few 3 or 4 days earlier. I mean, that it's just it's mafia thug kind of stuff, guys. And you know, and we remember that the mafias were always prevalent in your old time stockyards, guys, and things haven't changed all that much. But we've been having a lot of fun with your Punchy Pick of the Month contest. We've got a real lot of good ones in this month, and we're getting ready to award the winner of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, guys. And don't forget, anytime you get a cool punchy pick, all you got to do is email it in to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered to win. The grand prize winner gets some really cool stuff. I mean, caps, sweatshirts, hats, you know, t-shirts from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma. Beaver County Stockyards got the coolest swag out there. Get a bunch of stuff from them. Then you get some cool swag from Fairpiece, plus a whole case of the Fairpiece product, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. Stay tuned at the end of this Feeder Flash video, and I'll try to remember to put a Fairpiece video on here with testimonials. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. April live cattle futures were up 50 cents at 183.60, so we saw some recovery from the big tanking that they took on Tuesday. June live cattle up 30 cents at 178.67. That seems like a long ways from where we need to be, 178.67 here to start the summer months, when we're still going to be in extremely tight supplies of cattle. Your back months were mixed, down 15 cents. That was the only down contract, and that was on the farthest out traded month, to as much as 25 cents higher, but not a whole lot of change there. March feeder cattle up 32 cents at 248.05. That's still trading right in there tight with what our cash index levels are. Of course, they've been down big this week. April feeder cattle up 142 at 246.87. Your back months were all up, recovering just a small portion of what they've lost this week, up 80 cents to up 102. May corn was down 5 3/4 cents at 426 3/4. May beans down 6 1/2 at 1192 1/2. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May up a penny at 578 1/4. Your fat cattle trade, and we saw a little bit more weak sister puking in our negotiated trade out of your 5 area. Not much, but we did see enough, and probably enough to set the market in the southern plains. Nebraska sold another 200 head. They've sold 500 head this week. Your market on Wednesday was 298 dressed, which that would be about $4 lower dressed, just because of nothing. Kansas, they sold 2,000 on Wednesday. They sold 3,300 for the week so far. So shoot, that's getting up there about 25% to a third of what they typically sell negotiated. The market on Wednesday in Kansas was 185. That's $3 lower than last week. Had a fat cattle auction. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. They had a lighter run also, just like Yankton did on Tuesday, but on Wednesday in Sioux Falls, Worthing, South Dakota, they had a winter storm that was coming through there, and so it curbed receipts again. But still, we saw active trading on the fat cattle that they had there. They sell from 184 to 189.50 with a package of 1,330 pound natural fat heifers at 197.50. Box beef cutout values were down big. Packers aren't able to keep those up either, even on tight change speeds. But choice cuts down 251 at 308.58. Selects down $1.83 at 298.43. Your slaughter through the first 3 days of the week, 367,000. That was 9,000 more than a disappointing last week, but still about 8,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Stay Tough Fencing. Stay Tough sales reps offer personal assistance in product selection, planning, layout, as well as fence installation training. Stay strong, stay tight, stay tough with Stay Tough Fencing. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states since the 7-day moving average, guys. Late on Wednesday, setting at 247.21, down 332 on a 7-day moving average, and it was down nearly $3 after Tuesday's trade. So they are really sucking it down there just on that black swan. That was no big deal. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 251.27. If you've got a sale barn and you don't have DVAuction broadcasting your sale barn every week, check us out. You may want to start a new thing by broadcasting your sales. You may want to add DVAuction broadcasting, guys. We've got several new sale barns coming on board right now. The boys are out hooking them up here just within the next week or two. They're going to be hooking up a new sale barn for a good friend of mine in Stanton, Virginia. Then they're going to be hooking up another sale barn in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. Then here within a month or so, we're going to be hooking up another sale barn in southeast Oklahoma. So we're looking forward to that. If you guys want to be a DVAuction broadcasting barn, give us a call, guys. It's cheaper than what you think, and there are a lot of benefits to it. Let's talk about your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, had 5,700 this week for their 2-day sale. Feeders on Wednesday, calves on Tuesday. The feeders were fully $5 to $10 lower. Ouch. Your calves on Tuesday were $5 to $10 lower. All because the powers that be that control your cattle futures decided to take them down big. And it's tough on producers that were really looking forward to seizing this market. But that's just the way it is, and that's the way all the markets were. I got to tell you about a really stick-out sale they had at El Reno, which is also a DVAuction broadcaster there, and we're proud to be partnering up with them, broadcasting their sales at least 3 days a week. But they sold 140 head of replacement black heifers from Veneta, Oklahoma. They weighed 727 and bring 267. Wow, big time sale there. How about Coffeyville Stockyards in Coffeyville, Kansas. This is a north barn. They also have Coffeyville, Oklahoma too, but the north barn is the one that features the feeder cattle most of the time. And they had a good sale on Wednesday. They sold 400 head of 3 colored steer calves. So they would have naturally been put together, I would assume. Weighed 535, bring 336 there at the north barn at Coffeyville Stockyards. Don't forget, coming up here, April the 13th, Coffeyville Stockyards is going to be having their spring yearling video special. Going to be coming to you from Stillwater, Oklahoma. They always have really nice cattle on those Coffeyville special video sales, guys. And that'll be on DVAuction too. How about some individual quotes from around Russell County Stockyards in Russell, Kentucky. Russell Springs, Kentucky, excuse me. They are a DVAuction broadcaster, and they had a big time sale on some 7-weight steers. 138 head, weighed 769 at $259.60. Wow, big time sale for out east there, guys. How about Twin Falls Livestock Commission in Twin Falls, Idaho? They sell 66 steer calves, weigh 497 at 3. Whoop, they were heifers. Oh my goodness. 66 heifer calves, weighed 497 or 500 pounds out there in the middle of Idaho, way out west, guys. Bring 325 and a half. Wow. How about the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday? And it was your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day. Also a DVAuction broadcaster, Tri-County Stockyards out of Motley, Minnesota. They sell 70 feeder steers, weighed 816 at $258.60. Just like nothing ever happened. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.
This is the bunk line of the calves that have received therapies 48 hours ago. He just fed them. This is the bunk line of the calves who did not receive therapies. And he literally just fed them too. And they finally have just come up to bunk. Again, calves with therapies. The bunk line is full.